Hi everybody, welcome to this channel. Welcome back if you have been here before, and welcome if you are new. Today I am with my wonderful friend Kayla again. She has been here once before. We had an amazing conversation. It was like over a year ago. It was a long time.
Probably close to 2.
Maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah.
That's a long time. But I'm so honored to have her here with me today again, and we are going to be talking about our cycles and what part that plays in the healing process of healing developmental trauma in particular, because that's what we talk about on this channel. What does it look like to incorporate our cycles? Whatever kind of cycles that is, we're going to be talking about how important it is in the healing process, because when we have developmental trauma, we often have a lot of dissociation, and this is part of the reassociation process. It can bring really incredible connection to ourselves, which is what we're looking for when we're trying to heal trauma.
Yeah.
So, welcome, Kayla.
Thank you. And I just think as you were speaking, the word trust really highlighted in my mind. That's really the biggest gift of tuning back into our cycles. And whether that's our menstrual cycles, our lunar cycles, the seasons of the earth, the day cycle, like whatever cycle you're tuning into, it's helping the body trust itself again. Especially with dissociation, when we're flighty and up here, it can be hard to come all the way back down and be in the body because we've abandoned it. You know, we've hurt it, whether physically or emotionally. So there's some animosity that the body has towards, ourselves even. So this trust really gets rebuilt in a very safe and slow and really fun way. And I think that's really what I want to emphasize today, is that the healing journey can be fun and actually needs to be fun at some juncture points, because when we take our healing too seriously, we can actually make it more crystal, rigid, stuck. And really what we're trying to do here is just open our hearts, open our body, take a nice new fresh breath of air and find something new to hold on to as we're moving through our journey.
Yeah. Oh, I love that so much because it's so true. I mean, I'm very guilty of this, of taking the process too seriously. And I just keep,
Me too.
It's just it's so hard not to do, because it is serious. I mean, trauma is serious. Everyone knows it's serious.
And we want to heal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's, it's about releasing stuck emotions, which are usually the difficult ones. And so it's going into those deep and dark spaces, or it's doing shadow work, which is deep and dark, and it feels that way, and it feels heavy, and it feels serious.
It can, yeah.
That's why, to your point, bringing levity in to counterbalance that is so important, but it's also really difficult to do, because when you're in those spaces, especially if you're in a triggered state, it feels impossible to reach joy and levity.
Yeah, and that's actually the wrong time to be doing shadow work.
Yeah.
What the body needs is self-regulation. Yeah. And then to go into that place from a very curious, open, and receptive place to do that. But if you go in there with triggers, you're just going to judge yourself. You're just going to make a mess. You're just going to reopen the wound. And it's going to feel painful and hard, and like you're trudging through the shadows, when you could literally just be leaping through the shadows or dancing or crawling, in fun, mysterious ways.
Yeah.
So.
No, you're exactly right, because we've got to be within sort of the window of tolerance within our nervous system, so that we have some capacity to let things in and receive information, because our whole system shuts down and closes off when we're in that triggered state. So yes, re-regulation, and then play and levity. And one of the reasons we're talking about this in particular today is that Kayla has this amazing program coming up that I wanted to share with you. I'm so excited about it. I think it's an incredible program. It's called Lunar Living. It's for women getting aligned with their menstrual cycle and the lunar cycle, and it's a whole lunar month. And it's a container teaching how to be in connection with those cycles and how to work with that energy. And you also have a free container coming up too. And so I want to
we'll talk about all of that at the end.
And as you were saying before we started recording, the cycles are not gender specific. It's not just about menstrual cycles. There are so many cycles that we're all navigating, and we all have hormones, and we all have cycles
within. If you're alive, and clearly you are because you're watching this video, you are a cyclical being. And there is cycles to tune into: moon cycles, seasonal cycles, solar cycles, planet cycles, cycles of the day. Your cells are cyclical. cells grow and diminish and grow again, right? Our bodies are literal cycles within cycles. And when we are talking about menstrual cycles, this is not just for people who are currently bleeding. It is about connecting to the moon and seasonal cycles too. So if you're a woman who has irregular cycles, or you're menopausal or perimenopausal, or you've just never had a cycle, this is also for you, because there is medicine in your body.
And I love the thing you just said about the medicine in your body. It's hard to wrap our head around it because of all the programming we have of the medicine is outside. Getting in touch with our internal cycles is all about that connection with the internal medicine and the wisdom keeper that is our body. When we have developmental trauma, one of the things that gets broken is trust with our own body.
Yeah.
In my mind, this is one of the key pieces to reconnecting in that way, because when we are growing up and we have all these feelings and we want to express those feelings, and then for whatever reason it gets pushed up against, shut down, whatever our body is bringing up for us is wrong, and it's causing problems for us.
Yeah.
And so we learn that we can't trust our bodies, and we need to shut those things down, and eventually over our life we can develop a lot of self-hatred. Most people with chronic illness are carrying this lost trust in our own body.
Yeah.
And so regaining that trust is a way of kind of summarizing the whole process. Is how do we learn to trust our body again, and to trust that the answers really are inside. It's really hard to believe that when we've got wounding to that relationship.
Yeah, especially because we rely on our mind so much instead of our body, because we don't trust our body. We over intellectualize, we overthink, we start to get into this cycle of needing to logically understand everything that's going on instead of feeling for a moment. And softening the understanding mind and feeling into the heart and the blood and the emotions and the spine and the hormones that are coursing through your body all day, every day. That there's wisdom and intelligence in that. And we do live in a world, unfortunately, that wants us distracted, that wants us to live apart from this, because we're easily able to be manipulated or led this way. It's really softened my life. I used to be someone who was just running around all the time, doing all the things, ignoring everything. And my life is so much slower and much more simple, and just full of a lot more levity and joy and space to meet the parts of me that are frustrated or angry or confused or scared or even uncertain of the moment in front of me. And instead of closing down to those feelings, I now get to kind of soften and open up into that, and just trust that on the other side of this feeling or this cycle or this portal, whatever you want to call it, is a new beginning, is a fresh breath, is the beginning that comes from an ending. That is the most important thing about cycle work, is that we get out of the trap of linear thinking, and we remember that everything is a circle. Everything is a spiral. Everything is connected and interconnected and woven through and through. The beginning is also an end, and the end is also a beginning. It's been a real gift to come back and remember that medicine, and to start trusting that I know what my body needs. And yes, I need to go out into the world and receive help when I need it, but I don't have to put my authority, my trust, my wisdom in other people anymore.
Yes.
And I used to do that all the time.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything. Other people need to fix me. Other people have the answers. Other people will know what to do. And now it's no, I know what to do, and I may have blind spots here, and I need some support, and then I go and get it. It's really about trust. That's the word that just comes through and through with cycles. My
habitual used to be go-to is go into my little shell, and nobody can help me, including myself. Nobody's gonna do this but me, but also I can't do it. It's a very powerless place, but it's also retreat and cocoon
and hide. Yeah.
And just shut down all possibilities, and that includes my connection with myself.
Yeah.
And as you were talking, I was thinking about how cool cycles are to start intentionally working with, because you can, it's they're like nesting dolls.
Yeah.
Because you can connect with all these different cycles at the same time. Now, when you're first starting, you just probably want to start with one, I would imagine, because you're retraining your intentionality of like how to think about your body within the world. And like you said, that everything is a cycle, making that shift from linear to cyclical. That was a huge shift on my journey too. Like, this is where I think some form of spirituality can be really helpful. It's not necessary, but like it's
not necessary.
It's not at all. But that for me was helpful. What I mean by that is like having a practice, that sort of daily reminder that it's not linear, that every ending is a beginning, every beginning is an ending. And when things feel so bleak and futile and dark, it can literally be life-saving to have that in your practice and to really believe that. And that takes time of connecting with these cycles. But astrology is a big part of my life. That is probably the main way that I started connecting with the cyclicalness of life. Astrology was first, and it felt safe for me to be a stepping stone in because it wasn't too body intense.
Exactly.
It was like very intellectual. Although astrology doesn't have to be, because over time then you start to feel into what does this transit feel like in my body. But it can start very intellectual, and it's like a safe place to start with the cycles.
I haven't really introduced myself yet, so I'll just take this opportunity. No, we just got into it, and that's not a linear person, you guys.
Cyclical person, yeah. We're flowy people here.
So I'm Kayla, and I'm a somatic healer and also sound healer now. I host ceremonies. I really just like to be in space with other people and to feel and get into the sound, the body, the feeling, and kind of just let that guide rather than the mind. But it was a really big journey there for me. I didn't start with being in my body. I started pretty dissociated. So everything in my life was outside of me. Authority was outside of me. Trust was outside of me. Resources were outside of me. Everything was just, I'm just surviving, just getting through the day. And I was really closed off to being in the body because anytime I tried to meditate or even slow my breath down, my body would begin to speak to me. My heart would show me the anxiety or the fear or the pain and the grief or the terror, and I was just like, nope, can't do that.
It all feels so overwhelming when it starts to bubble up. It's all just like a clump of emotions that you can't
because I've
even
been ignoring
untangle.
it for so long.
Yeah. So it feels overwhelming at
So
first.
it took me a long time, lots of yoga, lots of dancing. Like I went through a whole thing and I've landed here. So for me, connecting with my menstrual cycle was not the thing for me. I was just like, nope.
For a while.
I hate my cycle. I ignore my cycle. I hate feeling like I'm crazy for a week and then like my period sucks for a week and like, ugh. I just hate even mentioning it. I'll hide tampons. Like, I'm not cycling. I don't have a cycle except for a week and then I disappear and then I come back, Yeah. That was how I lived for many years. It was the moon that brought me into cycle work. It was an external thing for me to see every day. And that's where I started. Some people can start with their menstrual cycle. Some people start with working with their hormones because they have such bad symptoms, and that's where to start. For me, I was just so dissociated that anytime I tried to do that, it was like instant shutdown, instant fear, instant anxiety. So I just started with the moon, and she brought me into cycle wisdom. Her cycle is 29 and a half days long every month, just like our body cycles as women, typically anywhere between 26 and 30 days. So it like really aligns with our nature as well as women, which started to awaken me the remembrance that I'm not crazy for being a woman, which is a huge wound for women. A lot of women feel just crazy because here's the truth. You are a cycling being. You are cycling every day. You don't have a period, you have a cycle. And it's every day of your life while you're actively bleeding. Your hormones are shifting every day. Your period is just one small part of that cycle. So you are not the same person on day one of your bleed as you are when you're ovulating or at a different phase in your cycle. Like, you literally are shifting more so than other people who are not bleeding. And that sadly has been kind of shamed in our culture, and so we don't want to sit with it. It's probably even uncomfortable to like talk about it now and to like hear a conversation about women bleeding and women having hormones and getting in touch with their body. Like it's deeply sacred, and it's a remembrance of your authority and your wisdom, and how often we ignore it and hate it and push it away and try to be just the same person every day. So cycle work really opens us up to self-acceptance in the end, trust. Oh yeah, there's my anxiety again, just like clockwork. Oh yeah, there's my triggers, just like clockwork. Like you start to see the patterns, and that gives you power where you have otherwise felt very powerless and or just trapped in a cycle because you have been cycling. So yes, on some level you are trapped in a cycle until you stop bleeding, and then menopause hits, and that's a whole different like energetic journey. Yeah. And it's still a cycle. There are still lots going on in the body during that time too.
Tons, I love how you brought in that powerless empowerment conversation. Yeah, when we're disconnected from the cycles that we are in, and you brought up a really important one, part of lunar living is the moon. When we're not paying attention to how that's impacting our body or how we're flowing with it, we feel like catapulted through. It's like I'm just trying to get through the day, and things just feel like they're coming at us, and we have no control. It's a very powerless way to live, and obviously we speak from experience. I certainly do. It's amazing how when we get in touch with how different cycle parts, different points in different cycles affect us, it's like, oh, okay, I know what this is. Like I was mentioning before we started recording, the third quarter moon for me of every lunar cycle is very intense emotionally. And that's been a very helpful thing to realize in a trauma healing journey. It's like without fail, every third quarter moon in the lunar cycle, I'm either shedding and crying, or there's a trigger like right here, and I've got to do some inner child work, some parts work, whatever it might be. But to know that is so empowering, because it's like, okay, this is like a container of a few days, and I want to sit here and embrace it because I know it's coming every month. And I just wanted to elaborate a little on your point, because I think it's such an important one, that it brings us so much more self-empowerment. And that's another way to sort of encompass or like summarize the process of healing, is like moving from powerlessness to empowerment, healthy empowerment, standing in our own sovereignty and power.
Yeah, it is a coming home. It's a remembrance that our body and our mind are beautiful aspects of life and being here on earth. And we really need to honor the duality of the intellectual mind and the embodiment of this like very living, cycling essence vessel that we live in for a time while we are alive on earth. They have different wisdom to give, and they actually can work together, obviously, like because we have one body. It's not just a mind and a brain and then a body. It's a body that has a mind and a brain. And we are one being ultimately, and we live in a world, especially when we've had traumas, especially when we have been dissociated, we're fragmented. We start living our lives in pieces. We start compartmentalizing everything. We start feeling separate from each other. We start feeling separate from the earth, from our bodies. But we are not separate from each other. Yes, we are different and we are individuals, but we are life connecting, just like earth. You know, we come from earth. We're born through bodies, through our mother's blood. You know, this is just innate, and we've lost it over generations because we live in a world that demands we be the same person every day, and we show up and we get the job done and we take care of the kids and we make sure everyone is good. We just self-sacrifice. And part of cycle work is coming back into recalibration with how the earth lives, how nature lives, how life lives, and the honoring of ebbing and flowing, waxing and waning, death and life, falling away, growing. You know, we're not just the same energetic level every day. Our hormones are shifting, our brain chemistry is shifting, our energy levels are shifting, and we can't just demand that we do the same thing that we did yesterday. So when you remember your cycles, whether it's the moon or the season or this body with your menstrual cycle at any phase, you're remembering what it's like to honor the change of life. And that is the only real thing here, that life changes and we are not the same day in, moment out. We're just cycling, and I love it. There's deep trust in that for me. It can sound overwhelming, but when you start working with cycles, like, you begin to soften. Like, I'm even doing it in my body now. Instead of leading this way, like I'm like forcing myself through the day, I get to soften into, you know what, like, my hormones are this way today and the moon is that way today, and I'm in winter. It's not spring or summer yet. You know, I get to just release pressure and soften and let life move with me and through me, instead of like fighting my way through the day, through my projects, through life. It's so good to feel spacious and like, I can trust that on the other side of this like slow period, there will be growth again. And I don't have to force myself right now to get the thing done by ignoring my body. Sure, I may have a deadline, but let me balance the day so that I can move through from a more unified place, instead of just gonna get through the day. And then like feel depleted and dissociated at the end and depressed.
Yeah, and I mean, my gosh, how many of us is that true for? Like, we're just getting through the day. And one of the things I was thinking about as you were talking just now is that this kind of work, another reason it's so aligned with just a healing journey, whatever healing journey you might be on, is that it's going to bring up, as we try to intentionally move with the cycles of our body, it's going to bring up resistance, whatever resistance has been there. Because if we're not doing it, there is some resistance. And obviously we have a lot of cultural resistance, but it's going to bring up probably some wounds. And it's a wonderful opportunity to explore as we really come face to face, as we're like trying to intentionally work in this way. And this is why a container is so amazing for this, to hold that space.
We know what's good for us. We know what's bad for us. And yet,
like self-care, we all need self-care. We all talk about self-care. And yet, you know, what does that mean?
Because it's not a mind thing at this point. But I keep getting I keep leaking my energy. I have no energy. I have no ability to do the things I actually want to do in my life, because I'm bumping up against all of this pain and suffering and story around what I went through and what I've been through. And believe me, the story and the events of your life that have made you the person you are today matter. And it's no longer about understanding it from that level. It is really about dropping into the heart, into the body, and like ugly crying and shaking and addressing, and then feeling the joy and ecstasy of your body too, because you cannot feel the creativity, the vitality, the joy of your body unless you are willing to feel the grief and the pain and the parts where you've shut yourself down and closed yourself off from connection in life to self and other. And we all do this. There's no shame on this journey. Like, we have all will do this. This is the lesson of life.
And it's self-protective. It was extremely important to do it one time to protect yourself.
And so just in working with Lunar Living, and why Lunar Living exists in the world today, is because I'm very aware that that was how I healed a lot of my pain. That is how I came down into my body and started being okay with being here and not needing to run away from all the feelings. Because you probably feel a lot, because you're sensitive, because you're smart, because you're intuitive, because you're gifted. And the world kind of shuts it down because it doesn't look the way they want it to look. They're afraid of the power in your wisdom and your knowing. They're afraid of your authority, right? And when you start to tune into your cycles, you get really clear on your boundaries. You get really clear on what's not working in your life. And chances are it is in direct opposition to the way you're living now. And it will bring up all of your resistance because it demands you to stop pushing through life and to start flowing and tuning in and pushing when you feel called and resting when you need to rest. Lunar Living in particular is a really unique offer because I'm not the only one who is hosting it. It's actually co-facilitated with my beautiful friend Martina, who is a holistic nutrition coach, and she will be doing all the deep diving on how to eat for our hormones and how to connect with our menstrual cycles with food and herbs and tinctures and other things that excite you. And I will be doing the ceremonial space where we come into the body and we create altars and we start breathing. We do shadow work, sound healing. We track the moon, we track our cycles. We kind of just start to create a space, a sanctuary for us to slow our lives down, to put everything into the container, like Lauren was saying, and to start dissolving what's not necessary and where we are leaking our energy by living the way that we have been taught to live. By living in self-protection, by living in scarcity.
Oh man, I love that. I love that.
We're really
so much.
excited for it. So this will be our second container, and it starts March 30th under the new moon, which will be an Aries new moon. This one in particular, we offer them every season because we like to work with the seasons. Mm-hmm. This one in particular happens just after the spring equinox, which happened yesterday. So spring is here. We're coming out of winter. Yay. Life is beginning again, right? We're starting the cycle again. Yes. So this is the perfect time to step in if you're new to cycle work, if you feel seasoned in cycle work, because the cycle is beginning again. So you get to have more nuance around cycles. Mm-hmm. If you're menstruating, if you're not menstruating, it's perfect. Just step in if you feel even a little call to connect more deeply with your body or the wisdom of the moon or the earth. So yeah, we begin March 30th. We also have a free community, so if Lunar Living is just not calling to you for this season and you just want to deepen into cycle work, we have a free community that meets off of all the social medias on a private little community chat. Martina and I go in there and we share astrology and cycles, and you get to share your wisdom and connect more with whatever cycles you're exploring at the time. It's completely free. It's a place to come be curious and just begin the journey in a way that feels accessible and easy and simple. So that link will be down below as well. We are actually starting a fun little Cycle Curious event next week. So if you would like to join us for that and just dip your toe in and see if you can do it or if it feels good, we would love to have you. Yeah.
So that's the last week of March, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming and having this conversation. And I hope you have enjoyed. I hope this has been helpful. And we would love to hear down in the comments what cycles you're working with or if you have interest in it. And if you're interested in Lunar Living, all the information will be down below, as Kayla said. And thank you again for being here. We hope you guys are doing well. We are in this middle eclipse period. It's very intense. So if you're going through a lot right now, just be as gentle on yourself as you can.
Cycles within cycles.
This is one of the cycles. Yeah, we're definitely in the between eclipse portal. Yeah, and it's an intense time.
It's similar to like a birth canal, a metaphorical birth canal.
Yeah.
We are in the space where the baby gets squished up against like both sides of the birth canal, and it's just like, ugh, this sucks. It's in between like the nice cozy cocoon and the new life that is waiting for you out there.
Yeah.
So it is uncomfortable, but it's part of the process. And there's reassurance in that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So.
And to know that there's an end.
Yes.
It's just so helpful.
This is the card I pulled today, and it's all about abundance and spring. So
beautiful.
This is the life we all deserve to live, and it is through slowing down and being receptive and in tune.
Wow, that is perfect for today.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for joining us, and I will look forward to talking to you on the next one.